Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the Friday Charge, brought to you by EV Geek Studios. As always, we are your hosts, Joel and Sebastian, and today, February 27th, 2026, we've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Tesla introducing a new Cybertruck, kinda. We're going to talk a little bit about Volvo. We're going to talk about Nissan. We're going to talk about Waymo, and who knows what else we might talk about. So, without further ado, let's plug in and get started. All right, our first topic of the night is Tesla has introduced a right price Cybertruck finally, but also only kinda. So at the end of last week, which is translation for right after we recorded last week's news episode, which is why it wasn't featured last week, but it's featured this week, and we have more information than we would have had last week. Anyway, Tesla announced a new variant of their Cybertruck, and on paper, it's not that bad of a deal. So the new trim, which is named, quote, dual motor all-wheel drive, end quote. That naming is a bit redundant, don't you think? It's
A
dual
little.
motor, it's all-wheel drive, it's both. It doesn't have to be called both. Anyway, has a starting price of $59,990, which makes it honestly one of the cheapest options in the electric pickup space, especially now that Ford has discontinued the F-150 Lightning. You may also remember this, but this isn't the first time Tesla has launched a new, cheaper Cybertruck. Last week, they introduced the rear-wheel drive model, but that one only stuck around for 5 months. And that model was pretty bare, honestly. It had no bed power outlets. It didn't get a tonneau cover. It was missing a motor. It just wasn't an awesome value, especially because it started at 70 grand. This new trim level is different though. So at first off, it keeps the all-wheel drive powertrain. So, it's the same powertrain found on the now known as premium all-wheel drive variant. It keeps the bed outlets. It keeps the tonneau cover. It keeps it keeps a lot of the stuff. The main differences are you now have an adaptive coil suspension versus air suspension. That's one thing the previous rear-wheel drive didn't have. It had no adaptive suspension, period. It was just plain Jane coil sprung. This new variant gets cloth seats instead of leather, which is expected. It has less speakers. It doesn't have a rear screen. The rear lighting is more basic. But again, it keeps a lot of the kind of core functionality, and it still has 325 miles of range. Not bad. And I honestly, this is a solid package in my opinion. And this pricing makes a lot more sense and honestly should have been available, I feel like, from the start. But there's an issue. Right after announcing, CEO of Tesla, Elon Musk, took to X Twitter, which is the way you normally communicate to your customers, to tell everyone that it would only be available at this price for 10 days. And now, at the top of Tesla's website, it says, price increases after February 28th. What's it increased to? Nobody knows, but considering the cheapest variant was previously 70 grand, we probably can make some educated guesses on where this might end up.
Mm-hmm.
And ultimately, we just have to see what pricing ends up being. It could be a very small increase. Tesla could surprise us. And if it was a small increase, honestly, this is still a pretty solid deal as long as you can get over the way the truck looks. This is an EV pickup with over 300 miles of range, and it's got a 6-foot bed. It's got a big cab. It does a lot of stuff right as long as you can get over the way it looks. But if they increase it over to 70 grand again, it just doesn't make that much sense. And I don't know if this is an actual true sign of demand or if this is Tesla playing funny games. I just went to Tesla's website and pulled up the dual motor all-wheel drive. And let me just share my screen for a second. We're going to try something different here.
Sebastian's on a bear hunt.
So you can see here we are.
Yep.
And you can see it's 59.9, 325 miles of range, 4.1 seconds, 0 to 60.
It says price increases after February 8th at the top, too.
28, there you go.
Yep.
Bed motorized tonneau cover, bed outlets, cool spring, textile interior. Do you want FSD? You see, you still get there it is again, motorized tonneau, 120, 240, standard bed lamps, blah, 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 blah. It comes with these smaller 18-inch wheels, which in my opinion look better
I like them
than the other base wheels.
The
I feel like these look pretty decent.
Mm-hmm.
There's an optional armor package to underbody
Shield.
protection. Golly, I was struggling for words. You can see again textile seats. You can see you still keep your ambient lighting and stuff, which I thought was surprising.
The textile seats aren't that bad.
No, yeah. Here's my surprise. You ready?
Yep.
Gotta keep scrolling. April 2027?
Wait a minute. That's
over a year from now.
Could that be a typo?
I don't know.
If someone's out there watching us who's in the Tesla community, why is it April 2027 for delivery?
Did they really sell that many of them? Do they not intend to build that many of them, and therefore that's how long it's going to take for them to get through their backlog of orders? Are they just trying to drum up hype? You never know.
Yeah.
But if you go look at any other variant, like if I go to a premium all-wheel drive, although I guess, if they're going to be true, it should be the premium dual motor all-wheel drive. Anyway, that one says 4 to 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's weird. When did you notice that? Just now, or when you were looking at
just
it earlier?
Now, quite literally just
wow.
now. You've got the Cyber Beast. Let's see, what's it?
You need to take a picture of that and snap it on X and see what you come up with.
4 to 6 weeks on the Cyber Beast as well. So it seems something funny is going on with just this conveniently cheapest trim level.
Yeah,
I'm not saying it's foul play. It smells fishy.
Yeah.
If it stinks like it and it smells like it, you know what I mean? You get what I'm getting at?
Yep. I agree with you that the previous base model of the Cybertruck was not attractive at all. It was like, why are you doing this? It was not appealing to anyone. A single motor truck that looks like that, no. But yeah, when looking at it, it keeps some great stuff. Like I said, surprised it still has the motorized tonneau cover.
Yeah, it really feels like this keeps the most important bits.
Now, what I did notice, it charges a little slower, so they had to tweak something under the hood.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Up to 132 miles in 15 minutes compared to 137 on the premium and 135. It's not much, but something was tweaked there.
Yeah, and I'm not 100%. Almost wonder, is it a wheel and tire difference, so it's a little less efficient?
That's right.
Is it? Although on paper, the range figures are the same.
It is.
So, yeah, I'm not 100% certain what's going on there.
The tow capacity goes down. I'm assuming that's because of the smaller wheels.
It's probably the suspension.
The suspension, too. Yeah, but looking at this, it looks like everything is good. Heated seats, first row only instead of the back row. Okay, you get the standard console instead of the premium console.
Whatever that means.
Whatever that means. No rear display, and you get the 7 speakers instead of the 15. It says, okay, on here it says ambient lighting is not included.
Oh, it says it where I'm looking.
It says not a Tesla. Ambient lighting has a dash, but for the premium and the Cyber Beast is a wraparound lighting.
I think they're just wrong because Tesla's website says it has wraparound ambient lighting.
So
on all 3 trims.
Gotcha.
So anyway, but it's interesting, and I'm very curious to know about that April 2027 figure.
Yeah. So if anyone out there in the Tesla world knows about that, let us know, because I don't know how many people would wait 12 months, 13 months,
14 months,
14 months for this vehicle. Because who knows? It may not be around in 14 months. We shall see.
Just have a bunch of people pay deposits and then never actually get a vehicle, but you got you got an interest-free loan for 12 months or however long. I'd like to believe Tesla wouldn't do that, but also, how long have people been paying deposits on Roadster?
Yep, or wait for their free one.
We're
supposed to get.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. I think we can move on. I think we've talked about Cybertruck enough.
Let's talk about Volvo.
Yeah, so this week there was some bad news involving one of my favorite EVs on the market right now. Volvo has issued a recall affecting 40,000 EX30s globally due to a potential for battery fires. Volvo is currently urging owners to only charge the cars at 70%, park outside, blah, 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 the normal things, until a remedy is available. But, of course, the company will replace any affected modules in the pack if needed. This issue seems to specifically apply to the EX30s built with Geely supplied battery packs, so its effect on the U.S. market is very, very small. There are approximately 40 EX30s in the U.S. that are under this recall. And honestly, those are probably, that very first handful that were brought over before production switched to Belgium. For example, probably the one we drove first.
Yeah, I was thinking the first one we drove was not the Belgium one. Yep.
Yeah, so that might be one of the 40. Anyway, I don't have a whole lot of other notes on this. I'm amazed that it's 2026 and we're still seeing this and we're still having this happen to random cars with random, like, new cars or new battery packs and all that. And it's like, you would think they would have figured stuff like this out by now, but anyway, I digress.
Yep. So we did a mini charge. I did a mini charge episode on this earlier in the week over on the audio platform. So if you want more on that, you can go over to Apple, Spotify, check that out. From what I heard from that is there hasn't been a report of a fire yet. So I'm guessing they caught this in production, and it stops at it stops at a certain point in production. I think it's something before January something. So I'm assuming they fixed it then, and everything after that was caught. And I'm assuming it's probably one or two of the modules in the battery that is the issue. But yeah, they're not reporting any fires yet. So something came up maybe in testing, maybe, I don't know where it was that caused them to do this. But I'm glad they're being proactive with it. It's the whole thing with the Bolt 2, park outside and don't charge past 70, which is an odd number, 70, because 70% in that car is not going to get you very far. So, I mean, if it was 70% in a Lucid, yeah, that'd be fine. But 70% in a car that gets about 250 miles of range, that's interesting. But kudos to Volvo for being proactive with this and getting these cars fixed.
Yeah. All right, moving on. Everyone, let's give Waymo a round of applause.
Hold on, let me see if I can do it. Can I do it?
Oh gosh, it's gonna be so loud. Don't do it.
I can't do it. I forgot how to do it. Okay.
Okay, well, good, because it's gonna be so loud. A round of applause.
Yes.
Because honestly, they're kind of killing it right now. This week, Waymo began operating their driverless taxi service in 4 more cities in the U.S. The 4 new cities are Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, and Orlando. Orlando and San Antonio both cover about 60 square miles of land at the start. Dallas is starting with 50 square miles, and Houston is weirdly small at 25 square miles. With these additions, Waymo now operates its driverless taxis in 10 U.S. cities: Atlanta, Austin, Dallas, Houston, L.A., Miami, Orlando, Phoenix, San Antonio, and San Francisco. Waymo currently has 21 cities listed as coming soon, with 2 international options included, which those are Tokyo and London. Waymo has recently made news for their upcoming transition away from the Jaguar I PACE. They've talked about they're going to be using Ioniq 5s. We've been seeing those doing a lot of testing. There's been a bit of speculation online that Hyundai has recently made a new ICCU module and actually redesigned the thing. And there's been a bit of speculation that is because of Waymo.
Oh.
Because I imagine Waymo doesn't want to deal with ICCU failures.
Yeah, they don't want to driving down the road in a car, you hear the pop and the car stops.
Yeah. Anyway, that's speculation. No one knows. I just have seen that pop up a few times. I'm like, that's an interesting theory.
What's the van they're doing too?
And that is their new Zeekr-based design.
That's
and
right.
They named it the Ojai.
Okay.
Like OJAI, like Ojai, California.
Yeah.
Anyway, that I'm kind of excited to start seeing and moving around. I mean, as much as I like the Ioniq 5, and I do think like it looks more like the way they're doing the Ioniq 5 is definitely a more integrated look than they did on the I PACE. It doesn't look like, I mean, for starters, it doesn't look like it just has a roof box on the roof. But the Ojai is the first truly like Waymo purpose-built vehicle, and I am excited to see how that actually goes once they get fully testing. Of course, it's going to take a while. There's a lot of validation that goes into doing this, and they're just now getting to the point where we'll start seeing Ioniq 5s this year.
Yep.
And they're just now starting, and that's been in the works for a couple years now. So in a couple years, maybe then we'll just now start seeing the Zeekrs go in.
So the expansion that's going on now, is it still the Jaguar I PACEs?
Yes, as far
Where
as
are they finding these Jaguar I PACEs? I didn't think Jaguar was making them anymore.
I guess they bought all of them. I don't know.
Is there some sort of bat lock somewhere in a desert that has like,
I guess
10,000 Jaguar I PACEs on it?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm curious because we talked about a year or two ago that EV was going bye-bye. So I'm just curious where they get all these I PACEs from.
I guess
who
they
knows?
probably, honestly, so many of them were sitting out there unsold.
Yep.
Google
and they're all white.
or Alphabet, sorry.
They're all white.
Alphabet
too.
and Waymo or Alphabet and Jaguar probably like came to some agreement, like how Fisker sold all the remaining Oceans to New York City taxi drivers and taxi fleets.
Yep.
There's probably some agreement like that where Waymo got them for dirt cheap.
Yep. For like
and Jaguar
20
just
grand
wanted
a
them
piece
gone.
or something. Yep. Jaguar just wanted them gone.
Yeah, don't know that for certain, but
yep. But great. Yeah, if you haven't experienced a Waymo, you got to. I mean, Sebastian did it 2 or 3 times while we were in California, and it was a flawless experience. Besides,
it drove better than the Ubers we took.
Yep, except for the stench of weed in the one car, but that's not the. That's not.
I have since learned. I have since learned there's actually a way in the app you're supposed to be able to report that.
Oh, okay.
And it will like immediately send the car back to the depot for cleaning and then give you a new car.
Oh,
I didn't know that at the time. I was new to the service.
So it would go back to the depot with us in it, or
no. It would just have you get out. The car would leave, and then another one would show up and take you.
Oh, cool! I didn't know that. I didn't see that in the app. So,
but I've learned that since then. I didn't know that back then.
Yep. But it was a great ride. We drove from Hollywood down to Santa Monica. Is that what we did?
Yeah, we did Hollywood over to Santa Monica, and then we did a little bit from like one spot up.
We got it from Santa Monica up to
Hills. Yeah, it was. We did a couple stops. We went from like one area to Beverly Hills, from Beverly Hills, Santa Monica, from Santa Monica to Hollywood.
Hollywood up to to the tourist part. Yeah, and pricing was actually competitive.
It was cheaper than Uber.
Cheaper than Uber. The Uber that we had to take for 4 miles to get to the Waymo area. If that even. Heck, we could have walked there if we wanted to. But yeah, kudos. We have a whole review on our channel about our Waymo. It's still one of our better videos, and it's still getting a lot of views. So go check that out, and you can see if you haven't experienced Waymo and you want to see what it's like to be in one, check out that video.
Yeah. And moving on, Nissan says, never mind. Psych. Fooled you. I don't know.
Gotcha.
So everyone, look back in your history books with me. When Nissan announced the new Leaf, there was going to be a variant that was going to start under 30 grand, and it was going to have a smaller battery pack. Do you remember this, Joel?
I do remember this. We talked about it about 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. So this model was announced, and it was going to have a 52 kilowatt hour battery pack, and as a result, it was going to have a less powerful motor, but was expected to undercut basically everything on the market right now. Unfortunately, Nissan has now delayed this model indefinitely, so we're not seeing it for the 2026 model year. I don't think we're going to see it 2027 model year. I'll be surprised if they ever actually do it. But, indefinite leaves it open-ended. They could if they wanted to. And in the current geopolitical climate, this doesn't seem too surprising to me. It does feel a little bait and switchy. Nissan announced that there was going to be this even cheaper variant, and it feels like they almost did it just to drum up hype. And now that the car is here, they're just like, oh, never mind, buy the more expensive one. Yep. But I don't know. But also, is there room in the U.S. market for a tiny battery car?
No. What's the new battery in the Bolt? What size is that?
So that's kind of where I was getting at. So the base Leaf currently has 303 miles of EPA rated range and a 75 kilowatt hour battery pack.
So that's a lot bigger, yeah.
If the cheaper car is a 30% reduction in pack size, 52 kilowatts is actually 69%, but we'll say 30% reduction, okay? On paper, using back of a napkin math, the 303 EPA miles on the 75 kilowatt hour pack becomes only 210 miles on the 52 kilowatt hour pack. And unless that was going to start at like 20 grand, I feel like it would be pretty hard to sell the bare bones base model Leaf here of the US.
Yeah.
Because I was like, on one hand, it feels like a bait and switch, but also I don't know that it would do well.
Yep.
We were just talking about earlier on the EX30 how it has pretty small range, and some people feel like that's part of the reason why it's not been super successful. It's also been a little expensive. It's pretty small. It fits a pretty niche market. Yep. And Volvo, which just wasn't in here, but Volvo did just announce a new cheaper trim level, even cheaper than the current cheapest trim level for it, that has less power. It's got a slightly smaller battery, things like that. We're not 100% certain if we're getting it in the US, but they did announce it. And one of the big questions on it is, will people start moving towards the EX30 more now that there's a cheaper option? Or is it still too cut down then that it no longer can compete, period? And so, yeah, it's not a huge surprise to me. It is a bit of a bummer. I was excited to maybe see that $25,000 EV from somebody.
Yeah, I mean, us Americans, we like cars that can go very far. For what reason?
I mean, we kind of have
Nobody
to.
knows. Yep, we're sprawled out.
Maybe you don't need 300 miles of range all the time, but when you start looking at winter and you start looking at things and you kind of think about how, like, for, you and I on a fairly frequent basis have to make a drive that's 45 minutes long.
Yep. I drive every morning 40 to 45 minutes.
Well, I'm even saying like 45 minutes of actual like interstate moving speed limit, like moving 45 miles or so one way.
I mean, if people who are not familiar with Central Arkansas, if you work in Central Arkansas and live in one of the suburbs around it,
right,
it's a good 30 to 45 minute drive, whether you're going to Bryant, Benton, Conway, Cabot.
Right.
It's a good drive, and it's all interstate, so you're hitting that efficiency. So I can see that. It's not like New York City where people may never leave the city over a period of several months, and their cars may never move. So, but there's just not enough of those situations to make this car viable. But it does in Europe and things like that, where people don't drive a lot, and public transportation is great, and you can take a train everywhere, and it's cheap to do that. But I mean, I'm kind of excited about the upper level Leaf models. I'll be curious to how they sell, because Nissan is kind of at a crossroads right now.
Nissan is at a weird period. And it's
because they got rid of the Aria, and
it feels like they're simultaneously grasping at straws and barely staying afloat, but also somehow still here.
Yep. So
And I mean, we've talked about that in the past. They've allegedly had plans of Honda that then fell apart, and they've had plans of other automakers that then fell apart and whatever. It feels like they're just kind of trying anything and everything to see what sticks. But then sometimes you got to have money to make things like that happen.
You do. So let's see. We may be talking another episode that the Leaf just never comes anymore. So we'll never know. So.
All right. Well, Joel, do you have anything fun to talk about?
Let's see. So let's catch you up on this week. Monday, we released a video of Sebastian's 6-month ownership of the Ioniq 5. So if you haven't checked that out yet, check that out. We won't give you any spoilers because we want you to go watch it. Wednesday, I did a little episode talking about Rivian and kind of how R2 is kind of we can talk about this. Do you think the R2 may be the make or break moment for Rivian?
I think R2 is going to be very critical.
Yeah.
Unless it just absolutely goes absolutely poorly.
Yeah.
Like they sell no cars,
or
no
they can't
one's
get the price
interested,
right.
Or they can't get the price right, or they have to immediately recall all of them and replace battery packs or something crazy. I don't think it breaks them.
Yep.
But it definitely has potential to severely, severely wound them.
Mm-hmm.
And potentially maybe even lead to like venture capital crap and buyouts or something else, or if they just fold. I don't know.
Yeah, this is the Model 3 moment for Tesla. Like
this is a definitely important moment for Rivian.
Yep.
They've got to get it right. We're supposed to have pricing on that. Well, I think in like 2 weeks.
Okay,
so we'll see. We can stop speculating a little bit.
And they're starting with they're not starting with the low level. They're not starting with the base one.
No, they're starting with the launch edition that's higher up, and then of course they'll fill in lower as time goes on.
But that was kind of the gist of that episode. If you want to go back and watch that, it's very short. It's like 10, 12 minutes long. Is talking about how this is a defining moment for Rivian. They really got to get this right. The R1 and the R1 platform is designed for people that have some money in the bank. It's not mass market appeal. They're pretty much going to sell what they're going to sell for those. It's kind of like the Model X and Model S. You're only going to sell so many of those per year because of the price. You need a lower end. And if this R2 doesn't go well, I think it affects what happens with the R3, which is supposed to be cheaper. So we'll see how that works as we work our way down. But I have faith in Rivian. We know the software is going to be decent. That's something we know. We know the interior is going to look really cool. But like you said, they can't mess up with like pricing. They can't have a battery problem. They can't have a massive recall.
It needs to go as close to perfect as it can.
Gotcha.
And I mean, I feel like there's some pretty dang smart people there. Surely they know this too.
Yeah.
Surely they won't mess it up.
Yeah.
But we'll see.
Yep. And maybe that's why it's taken a little bit longer than they expected. They want to make sure they get it right. They want to test this thing until it can't be tested anymore to make sure that they get this right. So yeah, those were our 2 videos this week. You want to talk a little bit about what we're going to do this weekend?
Yeah, before we get there.
Okay.
We do that.
Ooh, you got something else.
So this last weekend, I took a small trip in my Ioniq 5, and it went swimmingly.
Good.
Outside of a few of the gripes that I talk about in the video that came out Monday. But it went swimmingly. I used a wide variety of charging networks, saw some interesting things. So
did you record it or not?
I did not record it.
Okay.
It's too much to juggle sometimes.
You got kids and everything. It's tough to do.
I had the whole family with me. It's just, it's a bit too much. If it was just Allison and I, maybe. If it was by myself, definitely. But it's just a little too.
You don't want your wife throwing up F-bombs while you're trying to record stuff. I totally understand. So, no, Allison's a great person. She would never do that.
I don't want my daughter throwing up F-bombs.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I'm kidding. She's
Daddy, what the beep?
She doesn't. Anyway,
great parenting.
So
Sebastian.
on the way there, I first stop was Clarksville, Walmart, and that was mainly just because it's about 2.5 hours from my house. 3-year-old needs to stretch her legs, whole thing. Could technically go further pretty easily. Could have stopped in like Ozark, stretch it a little bit further, but at that point,
you don't like stopping at those Teslas. You just don't.
I mean, that too.
I'd rather stop there. You won't. So
we'll talk about that in a minute too.
Yeah.
Anyway, stopped at there, ended up getting back on the road, needed to stretch our legs a little sooner than expected, ended up stopping at the concession area on the Muskogee Turnpike in Muskogee, Oklahoma. And that was a Francis Energy site. And it was rough.
Was it Francis Energy using Tesla chargers?
No, it was just straight up Francis Energy.
Oh, yeah, that was rough then.
Now, to its credit, I plugged into a 200 kilowatt dispenser and got full power.
Good.
And it worked first time, whatever.
Did you have the app?
No, I actually used my RFID card because I saw a tip from somebody a long time ago about Francis Energy to make sure you just get the free RFID card.
I probably need a new one. I think I threw mine out when I cleaned my wallet out.
But I saw someone talk about and they say it's just because if the app isn't working or you don't have cell service or whatever, it's the only way to really activate their chargers because you can't rely on the payment terminals.
And that is kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of Oklahoma is. So anyway, got it activated. But as I was there, I was kind of looking around because I was curious. So there's 4 dispensers. There's 2 taller ones that do 200 kilowatts, and there's 2 stubby ones that I think are like 100 kilowatt max. So the dispenser I was on, I noticed after I plugged in, the Chatamo handle was quite literally hanging on by a thread. It had been mostly cut off, but then had like the yarn inside the cable, still just holding it together, but the copper was separated. The other dispenser of the other 200 kilowatt looked okay. Then the 2 stubby ones, one of them had the Chatamo cable just completely cut off. And the other one had the CCS cable completely cut off. But here was the wild thing to me. Both of those units with cables cut off completely were both still online. Like turned on, powered on, whatever.
Wow.
And they would have let you activate the handles that were cut off.
Wow. So question.
They showed the missing handles as available on the screen.
So is this the charging place like in the middle of the turnpike where both areas can go into? Is that what it is or not?
Yeah.
Okay. That's open like 24/7, right?
Uh-huh.
So you would think, and it's probably a pretty popular area because it's really the only place you can stop on the turnpike.
Yeah, it's the only stop on the...
How did no one see random people cutting wires at this?
So then I go look at PlugShare. It's apparently been like that for years.
Really?
And they've just not cared to fix them?
Or put a bag over them and say out of order? I mean,
I guess I'd rather the handle that work,
yeah.
Because ultimately you got to get what you can get. But still, just the idea that
if someone's not paying attention and activates
they're
that
still
charger.
Just anyway. And in reality, nothing would probably happen because it would have to pass all the isolation checks and all that before it sends power. But it's still just like, what the heck?
Mm-hmm. Is there a way to report that on the Francis Energy app or anything like that? Or not?
I would assume they know if it's been like that for years. But no, not that I could tell. Anyway, after that, we were in Tulsa.
That's why, folks, we tell you not to go to Francis Energy.
And that's why their move to superchargers is both good and kind of sketchy to me.
Scary, yep.
Anyway, after that, we made a pit stop at the Tulsa Zoo because,
of course,
we go to zoos. They had level 2 charging. It was free.
Oh, yeah.
And we have our zoo membership in Little Rock, which gets us 50% off there. So it was cool. Anyway, walked around the zoo for a little bit, stretched our legs. It was good. Again, we have a 3-year-old. When we left, and since we were at the zoo, we had enough juice. We squeezed it all the way to Blackwell, Oklahoma.
No idea where that is.
And stopped at a Iona that was attached to a Casey's, which was good. It's Iona. Weirdly, though, that Casey's also hosted an EA station.
No competition.
And the EA station was currently out of order because they were putting the new dispensers in, but that EA station's been there for a couple years. I just thought it was interesting because they're quite literally, the Casey's is in the middle. The Iona's on the left side of the building, and the EA is on the right side of the building.
So I'm assuming it's a bigger area than our Casey's here, Iona.
Yes.
Okay.
There's not a lot in Blackwell, Oklahoma.
There's a Casey's. No.
There's also a Brahms right next to the Casey's.
Oh, cheap ice cream.
Cheap ice cream.
A family of 4
food.
can have ice cream for $7.
Yeah, it's a family of 3 can eat dinner for like $20. And
yes, and pick up lettuce, tomato, and gallon of milk while you're there too.
and good milk and good groceries.
Yes.
And they do that fancy A2 milk that doesn't hurt you if you're lactose intolerant and all that jazz. Yeah. Anyway, and that was our last stop. We made it to our destination, no problem. That was all fine and dandy. While we were up there was some level 2 charging close by that was free. So I plugged my car in, and then we walked around to the downtown area. All that. Came home, stopped at the Casey's again. That was mainly just as a safety kind of charge. I felt like we could make it back to where we were going, but I just wanted to kind of top up a little bit. So I stopped at the Casey's. Then our next stop was from Blackwell. We went to Broken Arrow and stopped at the Target, which has an EA station. Plugged in, no problems. While we were there, we saw a orange Hummer SUV pull in a U-Haul pull up. Nice. And then after that, we made a long run from Broken Arrow to Clarksville.
Yeah, so that was my question for you. If that Francis Energy station goes down, what happens on that trip for you?
I mean, generally we would make it to Broken Arrow.
You can make the Broken Arrow. Okay.
Yeah. Again, that stop was mainly because toddler needed a potty.
And if you needed to top off, you could hit Van Buren right there if you need to hit something real quick before you head up.
And there's Alma now and Ozark and but yeah, so Broken Arrow to Clarksville and Clarksville to home. Uneventful. All the chargers worked. First time. No big issues. No weird issues with power. Whatever. Got full power. Had a brief moment where I thought my car was broken. I thought one of my air flaps had broken. But then it just seemingly fixed itself. So I posted a picture of me when I was charging, as you do when you post things on Twitter.
Yep.
Anyway, and under one of them, someone said "RIP active air flap," and I looked back at the picture and was like, "Oh my gosh, I hadn't even noticed." But one of my little air flaps was sitting off kilter. And so then I had to go back and look at my other pictures, and I was like, "Okay, so it seems to have happened sometime between Muskogee and Clarksville, or Clarksville and Muskogee." And I was like, whatever. It was that point. It was like 10:30 at night. I wasn't going back outside to look at it. And the next morning when I got out to the car, it was fine.
I wonder if your car randomly opening and closing its flaps fixed it or something.
I don't know, but I mean, I'm assuming they probably opened in the middle of the night because it would have had to charge a 12-volt battery.
Yep.
And then I guess maybe it reset itself. Part of me almost wonders, did I take the picture too fast as it was starting to open and it just looked off kilter?
I never thought about that. Yeah, because you said it to me. You said, "Is there something weird in this picture?" I'm like, yeah, what's wrong with the front of your car?
Yeah, anyway, it was ultimately fine, but I was a little nervous because then I was sitting there going, I was like, oh man, I hope because the air flaps are part of the cooling system. And so I'm like, oh, I hope it doesn't throw some code and then severely limit my charging speed or whatever, because that's going to make the trip home suck.
Yes.
But everything was fine. Everything was good.
Good. I'm glad. We have a trip coming up in a few weeks to Dallas. We're all going to load in the EV6 for that because the EV9 has to go in for a little bit of body work. And we're going to drop it off there. Let's see if you can catch that on a video. What happened to that? That's a sore subject for me. So nothing on our fault, just a young kid who decided to tap our car at a red light and then just drive off. So good times. So yeah, it's literally a $400, $300 fix. It's literally a piece of bumper stripping and
not worth the deductible or anything.
Yeah, it's not. The piece costs $120, and my buddy Chris is going to charge me probably $250 to paint that little strip silver and snap it on. So I'll be under less about $400, but it's just the principle of it. But yeah, so we'll have some video of that with the family going down. I don't know what we'll record, but we'll record our charging stops and things like that. So yeah, so got some. Go on.
Got some stuff coming up this weekend. Not 100% sure how it's all going to go. But if there's anyone still listening, I would like to pick the brain of the audience real quick. If anyone hears this part. I don't know if anyone will. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we've been having a bit of an issue lately getting our hands on cars from dealers because of the current
geopolitical,
as I like to say. Because of the current thing, we've been having a bit of a hard time getting cars from dealers, and as people have been around us and have seen our content before, that's where we source most of our vehicles from.
And let's be clear, it has nothing to do with the dealers. They're just not there. No. The cars aren't available. Yeah, dealers are great.
They're not available, or the dealers aren't ordering them because it doesn't make financial sense for them to order them in the current market. I don't fault the dealer for that, really.
Yeah.
Why would you order? I mean, one of the close dealers we work with a lot and are very close with and have great relationships, they still are sitting on 2024 Silverado EVs.
Yeah.
Just because they're too expensive, whatever. They can't move them, but they also can't afford to sell them for less than they have them listed at.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of that catch-22. Anyway, so I need help. What do you guys want to see? What would be like beneficial? I don't want to just rehash what everyone else necessarily does on the internet already. Joel and I have talked about doing some like charging and range test stuff for our own vehicles, which we have a couple ideas that I think we would do anyway, because it's kind of neat. Like we were talking earlier, trying to find a way to do a race, but basically because he has an EV6, I have an Ioniq 5, technically different cars, have slightly different EPA range by like 2 miles or something like that. But should be fairly representative. They're very close in miles, whatever. And I had the curiosity of just like, okay, we race somewhere.
Yep.
And Joel can only stop at Tesla superchargers, and I can only stop at everything that's not a Tesla supercharger. Who gets to the destination first? Is it Joel, even though he has slower charging, but all his stops are basically right on the highway? Or is it me that even though my charging is faster, I have to drive out of my way to get to them because usually the EAs that are at weird places or whatever else.
You have reliability concerns.
And I have reliability concerns, whereas Joel has superchargers where there's usually a crap ton of stalls and you're pretty much, worst case scenario, you bump over a stall and it works. And so we had that conversation. I think we'll do that at some point, but we'll have to see how we plan it. I'd hate to do a long trip just to turn around and come right back. So if we can time it with like, while we're there, we can do something else. But I'm just curious, like, what if there's times that we aren't really able to release a car review, which is typically what does best for us on our channel. That's what people are interested in. What would you want to see?
Yep.
Like, what's some other ideas you might have that we could take it, kind of get into? And
don't get me wrong, picture out of the box. So yeah.
Don't get me wrong. We're still going to try to find cars to review. We're still going to shoot them because it's ultimately fun. I like doing it.
We're doing a Lexus this weekend. So
I hope Joel likes doing that. I enjoy it. But trying to think outside of the box a little bit so that we can kind of keep momentum and then broaden our horizons a bit.
Plus, some of these cars don't change much from model year to model year. So like if we were going to review a 2026 Mustang Mach-E, guess what? It hasn't changed much from the 2025. So
the front trunk is optional.
Front trunk is optional, but we could do it. Like I said, we're still going to do car reviews. But if you think about it, if we do a car review every Monday, that's 52 cars we'd have to get our hands on to review in an entire year. And we're getting to the point now with everything that's going on, that's becoming harder for us to do. But if we find a car, we're going to do a review on it. But yeah, and we're kind of wanting to just branch out and do some different things. Now that we've kind of built up a following with almost 8,000 subscribers, thank y'all. And our videos are starting to get more watch time. We want to branch out and do some different things. Talk about ownership experience and things like that, kind of do a little bit more things in depth. So yeah, if you all out there have any ideas, nothing is too crazy. If you think of something, let us know. We thought about doing a 0 to 100% in my Kia EV6. I want to see what happens to a car that is literally, 5 years old, 4 years old. Is there any degradation or things like that? So nothing's out of the box. Just let us know. Drop it in the comments. Give us an email. Share with us what you think.
Yeah, and if you hear this and you think you could help us get our hands on cars, I will take that too. Because
Yes.
that's one of the things is I would love to do more stuff with the cars that we get,
Yep.
but when we're working with dealers, they generally, they don't want us to put a bunch of miles on the car or
Two,
whatever
three
because
hours at a
ultimately they
time.
want
Yeah.
to sell it,
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
don't fault them for that.
Yep.
But that does then limit things because I would love to be able to do charging tests on new vehicles or range tests or whatever else, but when you're limited to time or whatever,
Yep.
it is what it is.
Yep.
When you get the car from a dealership and it's at 80%, the only way for me to drain it down so I can charge
Yeah.
it would be to drive it. But then I
Yeah.
don't have time, or they don't want to put that many miles on it because
Yep.
someone doesn't want to come in and buy a car with
Yep.
500 miles on it necessarily. And I get it.
Yep.
Anyway, so
Let us know.
I'm all ears.
Yes.
Leave a comment, send us an email, info@evgeekstudios.com. You can go to our website. We have a forum. There's all sorts of ways to chat to us. So
Yep.
I'm just
Hit
curious
us up
to
on
hear.
social media, however you want to get a hold of us. We will respond. So yes.
All right. Well, that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you all for plugging into the Friday Charge. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to like and subscribe to us on YouTube. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, tap that follow button and leave us a quick rating. It does help the show grow. So long, everyone, and we will see you on the next episode of The Friday Charge.